What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Josh. Welcome to another episode of 8-Bit Tendies. Today on the show, we have resident guest, Mr. 8-Bit Panda Wags. What's going on?
What's up, Josh? Thanks for having me again.
Yep, no problem, man. So today I want to talk about a controversy that's going on within the gaming community. Now, me and you are both gamers. I've been gaming since I was a little boy, ever since Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, all of them. I've played them all, and I am still a gamer, and I'm still gaming. I know that you're also a gamer still as well, correct?
Been gaming since I'm 37.
So now there is some sort of backlash from the gaming community and NFTs, and I want to read a quick article here, and it was specifically about Ubisoft. So the article reads: Ubisoft wants to become a key player in the NFT market by integrating the technology into its gaming titles, but backlash from consumers may thwart the company's goals. Earlier this month, the French video game studio launched Quartz, a platform that allows players to acquire playable NFTs. The platform has failed to garner acceptance from gamers. The heart of the argument is that blockchain-based assets add unnecessary microtransactions that hamper the gaming experience by pushing players to spend to improve. Ubisoft isn't the only video game company in the position. Earlier this month, Ukrainian developer GSC Game World canceled everything NFT related in its Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl title. GSC Game World cited negative feedback from players regarding NFTs, despite plans to use the revenue they generated to aid in development. And then there was another one here where it says, Ubisoft will continue its video game NFT initiative despite pushback from fans. And then it says, when the tokenized collectibles first launched in online shooters Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon Breakpoint earlier this month, many fans called the limited edition digital items pointless or a cynical trend chase. Others suggested that Ubisoft plans would harm the environment, despite its use of Tezos, a proof-of-stake blockchain platform that is considered to be energy efficient alternative.
Your video card burns more energy to play the game. What are you talking about?
Right. So let's touch on a few of those points. And I think the
All right.
easiest one would be that some gamers are concerned that this will harm the environment. And we saw a lot of this FUD, right? And fear, uncertainty, and doubt over crypto mining. So there was this huge thing that happened months ago where people were talking about, oh, crypto mining is bad for the environment. It takes up a bunch of electricity, et cetera, et cetera. What are your thoughts on this subject here?
Well, okay, there's a ton of different. This is a big spider web of things, but I mean, a lot of that was spearheaded by Elon Musk's tweet. And love him or hate him, Elon is a big influencer. And yes, he understands certain technology, but I would not say that he understands block technology to the degree that you would think someone of his like intelligence gets. I'm sure he's been more informed since this all went down, but the proof of work model, I would agree. Yeah, like with it, both Ethereum now and Bitcoin, it does burn a lot of energy to be running those ASIC miners and the crazy video cards and be solving those things. But in a proof of stake model, it's not even it's not even it's not a thing. They need to reevaluate, and they need to make a big distinction on that. There's no distinction between the two when people are talking about crypto causes environmental damage. Like you need to it's too big of a blanket statement, and they need to drill into the minutia of those things to be able to understand how those subsystems work.
So that's a good point, right? So there are two different methods, right? There's proof of work and then there's proof of stake. And proof of stake
Yeah, and
is
there's like there's like 50 variants of those proof of stakes as well, and
Mhm.
a few several variants of proof of work. So it's just too hard to say crypto is bad. Like you can't say that because you're it's too large of a blanket statement to apply to the entire industry since they all have different consensus mechanisms.
Right.
But go on.
So essentially, to generalize it for people who don't want to get technical, let's just pretend we're talking to basic gamers. So proof of stake would be much better at being energy efficient than proof of work, correct?
Absolutely. You're always going to see lower gas fees. I mean, the only one I would say that maybe it comes close is Cadena, and Ryan Mata has talked to us a lot about that, and that seems really interesting and promising. But even if we take that out of the equation, if you generalize and want to generalize, which I don't like doing, but let's say we're going down that rabbit hole, the proof of stake model, it requires a whole lot less energy consumption because it's all working off of nodes that have the native crypto in them that those nodes are validating the transactions. And there's a 4-minute video from Binance Academy I always circle back to because no one wants to watch it. It's 4 minutes. If you can't spend 4 minutes, you don't deserve an opinion on the subject matter. And it really explains the way that each of these consensus mechanisms work and why one is so much more power consuming than the other.
Right. So that's a good point to touch on for the people that are concerned about using crypto or the blockchain and it having some sort of environmental effect. The other thing that I also want to touch on too is that when this thing happened where everyone was concerned about, the use of mining and how much electricity it uses, it was also shown eventually after a lot of data was collected from a lot of different miners that a lot of miners were actually using renewable energy for their
Absolutely.
mining rigs as well.
That's definitely another thing. Like there are ways to set up those systems so that they are green and that you could do solar, you could do geothermal, you could do all kinds of different solutions. So it's again, it's just too big of a blanket statement to cast on that and say that. And one of the other things that really, I don't know, really sets me off on this topic is you have people that have these gaming rigs with fucking LEDs in them and fucking fish swimming around in distilled water
Yeah.
and lasers coming out of them and stuff with 1,000 megawatt power supplies and 6 video cards, and they're trying to say they're arguing the green concept. You
Right.
sure?
Right.
Are you
So
sure?
I think what's happening to just generalize again is that it's just a misconception. It's just a
Yeah.
misunderstanding
Well,
of the technology and how it works. Everyone saw the whole Elon thing
yes,
and
but
it was in the news and people just
yes.
misunderstood it.
Well, they misunderstood it, but they also like it's the same thing that happens with like the news cycle, right? Like a bunch of people see a headline, no one takes the time to read the actual article and see if there's actual application of said headline, and then everybody just goes around and parrots what they saw in a headline, right? Like the big headline was, oh, crypto, like Elon Musk pulling out of what was it, accepting uh, Bitcoin because of green energy
Mm,
concerns. So people see that, they automatically know Elon's smart and they go, well, he must know what he's talking about. And then kadoosh, like then everybody just thinks crypto is not green. And that's
right.
not the case. Again, he had no concept at that time. Again, he may have learned, he may have changed his mind. I mean, he obviously they just started accepting Doge, which again, proof of work, but different amount of power consumption, and he's retooling it and all kinds of stuff. But it's when people run and jump on those bandwagons and say, well, no, crypto's not green, because I remember reading that in the news on several different articles, but the news even doesn't, it's partly their fault too. They don't cover in great detail about how these systems work.
Hmm. Yeah, they got 3 minutes to talk about a subject, and it doesn't really go into detail. So,
Yeah.
moving on to a different argument that gamers had, and this would be the addition of unnecessary microtransactions. And
Okay.
before I let you talk about this one, I also want to reiterate about a thing about microtransactions. So, for anyone listening, NFTs aren't introducing a new concept here because microtransactions have already been implemented into games. If you look at Fortnite and a variety of other different games, there already is a system in which the game is free to play, and then you're wondering, okay, how does the developer make any money here? Well, that is because
They
they
sell you
hope that you get,
skins.
yep, they
They
sell
sell
you
you
skins and
characters.
cosmetics because they hoping you like the game, you get hooked on it, and now you want to clout chase within the game. You want to have the
Right.
cool dance move that no one else has. You want to have the gear and the armor that the other people don't have, and so
Or
therefore,
the special edition stuff or whatever it is.
exactly. So microtransactions are already in games. NFTs aren't bringing something that isn't already in and implemented into certain games at this point.
What
So
they are doing though, I'm sorry, is it
yeah,
okay?
go ahead.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
so you're absolutely right that they already exist. Part of this, I think, is just a big also turnoff from people like experiencing iPhone games, and every game is like, oh, buy the gems and buy the shards, and you can buy this and that. And there's a real bad taste in folks' mouth from that, and just all the advertising crammed down their throat from it. But even if you look at AAA titles, Call of Duty, Fortnite, all these things where the people are spending thousands of dollars. Like if you took like a real hardcore player and added up how much they've spent on these titles, it way outweighs the cost of $59.99 or $69.99 for a video game. So
Hmm.
they're already paying into that. The difference here, the only difference is that, and again, if this NFT system is implemented on a proof of stake, so then you're not getting hit over the head for gas. The only difference then is you have actual ownership of that skin that you bought for your character, where you could take that skin that you bought and you clout chase with and you're the coolest, whatever, and you could then sell that to someone else in the game and get your money out. Maybe you don't want to play the game anymore. Maybe there's a new game. You can actually get the money back that you paid for your skin or your gun or your insert whatever. So like it's a way to actually have value and ownership of the NFT, but it's still applicable in the game.
Exactly. And you made some really good points there. And I want to bring it back to even what an actual NFT is because we didn't
Sure.
even cover that in the beginning. So
And
again,
that's
to
really
yeah, go
important
ahead.
because it's really, really important because part of, I would say, there's a large percentage of the folks that had this backlash that it literally just comes down to that old kind of, like when grandparents didn't want to buy stuff online,
Hmm.
or people didn't like the printing press way back in the day,
Hmm.
or people didn't like television. For all these things are just, they don't want to change. It's like, I got to learn something new. Blockchain is, there is some difficulties to it, even on a very simple level of like having a MetaMask and understanding networks and buying the right coin for the gas or the network that you want to participate on. There is some technical barriers to entry there. It can be solved though by certain games or certain companies like how Gala, it's pretty straightforward how it works. And that's only going to evolve. It'll be able to be where you can just put your credit card in and you can purchase X, Y, or Z through their platform, dumbing down all the technical side of Bitcoin and crypto so that it's just super easy to execute. And I
Right.
think the adoption, there's a major pushback just because people don't want to, I don't want to learn that. I don't want, I like doing what I'm doing now. Okay, well, if we did everything based on tradition, we would still be, we, we would never evolve.
Exactly. And I want to touch on the actual use case or what the actual NFT does so that people can understand because some personal friends of mine that I talk to about this, they get stuck on the for profit side of things, right? And just because NFTs are implemented into a game or implemented into any other thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's all about just selling your items to other people or that this is just a for profit thing. All that the NFT technology is doing is allowing you to verify that this digital item is yours and it allows you to track it through the blockchain. So, to give you a physical example, real quick and very general, to allow you to understand how an NFT works, an NFT is a non fungible token. And what does non fungible mean? So, the Mona Lisa, the one that's sitting in the museum, that is non-fungible because it's irreplaceable and is unique, right? So it's one of a kind, and you need specific proof of documents, right? If someone were to buy the Mona Lisa or a different museum were to buy that Mona Lisa painting, there is a paper trail that goes back to where it was first bought or exchanged from the artist, and that paper trail that proves that this is the real thing is similar to what the NFT is doing. It's not the Mona Lisa itself, it's that proof that this is the real thing. And so, to give you an example of what a fungible item would be, it would be if you scanned the Mona Lisa and then you printed multiple copies of it, then that would be a fungible item because that's not unique and it is replaceable because you can just print more of them, correct? So what this is doing is it's giving that proof of ownership that we have in the physical and it's passing it over to the digital realm because a lot of things are moving into the digital world. And so just how you can log into your Xbox account and you have your save game file, right? Where this opens up your character that you've spent 40 hours on, and no one else can access that because they don't have any access to your password or your save game file. It's kind of similar to that, where this NFT is going to prove that this character or this item or this piece of plot of land is yours. It doesn't mean that you have to sell it or whatever. It's proof of ownership. And then what the thing that's happening, it's that it's just giving you ownership over it. And now you have the freedom to do whatever you want with it versus that you pay for an item in game and the developer owns it. You think that you own it, but at the end of the day, you don't
Yeah,
really own that
they
item.
could
The
turn that
developer owns
they
it.
could they could turn the game off. And to circle back to your first metaphor, like if you had a print of the Mona Lisa in your house, no one's stopping to look at it. No one cares.
And
Like, and now if you had the real Mona Lisa in your house, you would have a line out the door
yep,
because people would be like, "Whoa, it's down at homeboy's house. He's got it. Let's go check it out."
exactly. And that's because
It's the same thing.
we as humans are attracted to rarity and to unique items. It's just
And
inherent in
flexing.
and
Like,
flexing and
yeah, that's
flaunting, and
big.
it gives you a certain status, whether you like it or not. That's what human nature is, and that's what this is allowing you to do. And it's funny you say that because I was at IKEA about a month ago, and at IKEA they sell posters and whatnot, and they were selling posters of the Mona Lisa,
There you go.
and they were selling it for like 19.99, right? So yeah, if I bought that and put it in my house, no one would care. They were like, "Why do you have a fake Mona Lisa hanging in your house?" Right?
Cool,
And
man.
what would be my excuse, right? So and again, I can't I have to be able to if I said that was the real Mona Lisa, I would need to show you some sort of documentation, correct? That says, look, I bought it from the museum and this is actually the one right here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that people can
And
make
it's
replicas
immutable.
of it. Yeah, it's immutable. So you have this backlash also of like people are like when they're buying like the JPEGs or paying for NFTs of monkeys and whatnot, they're like, oh, I can just right click and save it, or I
Well,
can just
let me
screenshot it, etc. But at the same time, that's not what this is really about, you know?
100%. Let me add to that whole thing too, is that one of the major things that people aren't seeing or understanding really in the NFT space. And there was just the other day on Discord, someone posted in one of the ones I was in for one of these projects, some dude, like there was like a post and like all these pictures of it. He actually sold his Lambo to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT. Now that's like crazy, right? Because you think most people in the crypto space, like the common meme is when Lambo, right?
Hmm.
People want to get to the Lambo. They're not trying to get rid of the Lambo. So,
Hmm.
but the reason why the reason the dude did it is because now, like if he goes and sits in his Lambo and drives it around town, he maybe gets seen by maybe 100 people. I don't know.
Hmm.
And God knows you can't drive a Lambo for very long without it's going to be meaning maintenance in a supercar. But
Hmm.
the point is that maybe 100, 200 people see him driving that Lambo and he's got that clout and he's the man, right? Whereas if he goes and puts a Bored Ape, a real one, on his Twitter profile or in his handle in Discord or whatever it is, thousands and thousands of people see that this guy flexed $270,000 for a Bored Ape to
Hmm.
just be able to flex. So the same way you guys want whatever skin you want in a game or gun or item or whatever it is, spray, whatever the heck it is, that is all you're doing. That, like, you don't go after those items because you just want to play the game in the regular mechanics. You do that to have something that's better than the guy next to you. So it's all flexing.
Hmm.
When you're able to do that in the digital space, that's what gives a lot of these things like merit. And I can even understand some of the folks that don't want to pivot from the old model, the old guard of like the way games were played. But if you think kind of these things out to conclusion where we're headed with AI and all these things, there's not going to be a whole lot of jobs left. Many things are getting phased out. You play to earn video games may be one of the last bastions of like us being able to earn income for doing something.
Let's talk about that, the income side of things, because that's also a very important point that I want to touch on because I I used to spend a lot of time as a kid playing video games, and we all know this. As you get older and you become an adult, and you have bills to pay and kids to
and,
feed
and your parents
and
saying, "Get off that video
responsibilities,
game."
right? Because why? Why do they say get off that video game? Because you're wasting your time, right? Because you're in this other world and you're spending
Exactly.
12 hours a day doing what? Just killing little monsters and getting better and leveling up, right?
And hanging out with your friends and the social aspect, all those things, it all makes sense. But
Right.
what if you could extract monetary value from the amount of time you've spent to that game? And I don't even mean when you're ready to sell your account. Like I used, dude, I've wasted, wasted. I mean, relative. I played World of Warcraft for many years, ran a guild, all that kind of stuff. But like, and it was cool getting cool items and showing it off to other people there. So the reason I can easily understand this is because I had that experience of getting something new and everybody being like, "Oh, that's so dope that you got that thing that is so hard to get."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I can also understand people really worried about the aspect of video games where it's like you if you just pay money, you'll be the best. The developers that are seriously working on these games are making it so they are enhancing you in some way, shape, or form, but it doesn't mean that you're the odd man out. It doesn't mean that if you don't have the NFT, you can't play the game and it's not fun. It's that they're definitely taking that into consideration when they're making these games. So there's a big difference, and it needs to be understood from the folks that are against this. There's a big difference between play or pay to win and play to earn. Big difference.
I want to actually touch on that too, where some developers are correct. They're making games in which even if you don't have money to buy an in-game NFT item, you can still play the game for free and then eventually earn by doing actions within the game. But some games are making it, and think about this, how the tables turn here. So
Hmm.
normally I pay $60 for a digital game, and that $60 just gets me access to the game essentially, right? I pay $60, I can now play this game. And then in every game, you need a character. And in that character, I grow him and I do whatever. What if you turn the tables where, okay, I pay $60 for my character who is an NFT? It's the same thing where you're paying $60 to
That's
play the
true.
game, but now I pay $60 for this character, but I own the character. And I, after building up the character, can probably sell him for even more. But here's what blew my mind about NFT gaming: it's not always about, oh, I'm going to buy this NFT to just sell him later. But think about what you do when you're not playing the game, because you don't play the game for 24 hours a day. So you play a game for 2 hours and then your character is sitting there, but the game is still going on. It's a massive multiplayer game. You can now, because this is your asset, you can rent out your character. You
Hmm.
can rent out your character to someone else who might want to play the game for cheaper and doesn't have the full money to play. And now you can earn passive income from just renting out your in-game assets, and you own it's for the people by the people. It's all the players own all the in-game assets. It's not the developer. The developer helps create the assets, but at the end of the day, you own the
They
assets.
basically just get the domino rolling, and then it kind of takes on a life of its own. And to even add to what you're saying, like so, and again, I've always used this as a reference point just because I played it for a long time and sucked up a lot of my life. But in like World of Warcraft, you have NPCs everywhere, non-playable characters, right? Free Guy. Think what Free Guy is, the movie.
Mhm.
So like the non-playable characters, they're like vendors that either repair your items or you buy some reagents from them or whatever. You just sell off garbage so that you don't have to have it anymore. uh,
Blacksmith, potion
right,
maker.
right, 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 exactly. So, but the cool thing that they're starting to do with some of these games is those are actual people, and that's their actual in-game job. And
Mhm.
they're actually whatever you're paying that would normally go just to be burned into the game, into the ether of nothing, because it's not a real tangible like currency, right? There's gold, silver, and copper in World of Warcraft. That just it's kind of useless essentially. You could sell that, I guess, on these other things, and there's ways to do that, but that's not the point. The point is that those actual NPCs or those things that are taking those non-player character roles could be actual players where whatever you're a blacksmith in that game and you do that stuff for people and you actually make an income. Would you rather go into a video game that you enjoy playing and play that and have that role in the digital space for 6 or 8 hours a day, or then even like you're saying, rent it out to someone else, have him play it, or Would you rather go sit in a cubicle and have a boss that is a dick and deal with that all day? Because
Yeah.
the option's always yours, but they're just presenting new options and they're gonna have their own economies built around them.
Yeah. So would you rather sell hamburgers at McDonald's or would you rather sell mystical swords? You know?
Yeah, in a video game and be having fun, and you're not feeling like you're actually at work because you're playing a game. Like, if
Right.
I got paid for all that actual time I spent in World of Warcraft, I wouldn't be on YouTube.
Exactly, exactly. And you brought up a good point too, because again, as far as like this isn't anything new. People have been selling their accounts. They've been building up their
Yes,
accounts to
yes,
sell on eBay or some other third-party auction site and
yep.
trying to figure out some sort of payment rail, right? To make sure that, okay, you send me this money, I send you access to my account. And it's the same exact thing, except what this does now is this makes it a lot easier and implements smart contracts. You don't have to go off to some third-party vendor
Well, and
and try to
you
figure out
could
a way to
consider
do it.
that pay to win too. Like, if someone
Hmm.
bought some crazy World of Warcraft account that some guy was selling for 5 grand. I know I sold a couple accounts for like $2,000, but there's just not like there's I don't know. It never broke the game. Everybody still had a great time. When one of those characters was sold and we knew it was owned by a different player, he still had amazing gear. He still was fun to play with. It didn't wreck the game. The one thing that I could point out in my gaming history where I saw that it created a lot of upheaval, but I think it was just based on execution, was in the game Diablo 3, where
Mm,
they created a real life, real money auction house,
mm,
and players really, really hated it, because there was just a lot of fuckery. But then again, you also had they had a in-game currency auction house, so the two of them kind of couldn't exist together. And then it did create a lot of problems. But you also had it's the same nostalgic approach that people are having with these play to earn NFT games, where they're like, that's not how Diablo 2 was. That was one of the major pushbacks, is that this isn't how the number 2 was. So why are we doing number 3? Like, okay, but
mhm,
like, do you want to just do the same thing forever, or do you
mhm.
want to see if we can evolve this thing?
Yeah.
So
I think the most important point about this too is that this only benefits the players, right? This
yes.
only benefits
Well,
you
and
to
like
be
you
able to own your own assets in the game. It doesn't not benefit you. I think what the real thing is that most people are concerned about is that companies are going to think NFT profit first and then gameplay second. That's what I think is
I
happening.
could see that fear for sure. But if you know anything about the crypto space or about some of these projects that actually exist, some of the games that are coming out are breathtaking, and they're very fun, and they're super exciting games to play. These aren't shitty iPhone games. This isn't, and not to crap on it because it was one of the first, but it's not Axie Infinity. It's not just some little 2D little blobs that they attack and damage pops up above them. These are high level triple A games. If you don't believe me, go look up Illuvium. Google Illuvium and look at the gameplay footage. It looks amazing. And this is where this is headed. It's going to take some time to get there, but that's the road that gaming is on. And you can plant your heels in the sand and say, nope, not me. But I guarantee you it's going to get swallowed up by the gaming industry, by the internet, by everything. This is where we're headed. You
Yeah.
can love it or hate it, and I'm sorry if you hate it, but have you given it a chance? That would be my main argument for a lot of this. Have you
Yeah.
given it a chance, and did you have a bad experience when you did? Was the bad experience from technical side? Did you have trouble like sending assets and getting your NFT to work in the game, or was it you just the game was shit? Or what was the actual problem you had with it? Or are you just, nah, get off my lawn, not wanting to evolve?
Right. Yeah. I think that there is just again, and bringing it back to the beginning, there is just fear, uncertainty, and doubt when it
Sure.
comes to people not really technically understanding what an NFT. I think people are still caught up on uh, digital monkeys of pictures and selling for millions of dollars,
Sure.
and it just being about someone selling something to another person for more money. And what I really want people to understand is that NFT is not the image, it's not the video, it's not it's the technology that is underlying under that that it's just allowing you to verify ownership of anything digital. So this is going to span more than just gaming. This is going to do everything that's digital that you need to prove that this is yours or track somewhere else. Even it's even going to go into the physical realm. So Gucci right now, I heard that is getting into the NFT game. But someone made a good point about using NFTs to track physical items. And
Yes, you
when you
can
think
track
about
authenticity of like fakes and stuff.
exactly. So if you have someone on the street, like, hey, ladies, you got someone trying to sell you a Gucci purse for half off, right? You need to inspect it and figure out some flaws within the purse. But if you can't see those flaws, there's no way to really prove if it's authentic. But with an NFT, you can have a label that you can scan, and then it shows you that this item came from
Little
the
QR code.
Yep, it came from the actual Gucci headquarters, and then that got distributed to a shop in the mall, and then from the mall, it went to this dude's address who's trying to sell it to you, and then therefore you
Or
can
it's
track that
stolen
item.
off of a truck.
Oh, exactly. But you even whether or not he stole it or not, you can still verify that
Mhm.
look, it came from all these different places, and then eventually came from the Gucci headquarters contract address, and this is what essentially the NFT is doing. It's just allowing you to track your item. Don't worry about if it's an image that you don't like. You don't if you don't want to pay for a monkey for $1,000, you don't have to. But understand the technology because it is coming. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. Like Mike said, it's
Well,
coming, and then
and
you're
Josh,
gonna have to use it.
yeah, absolutely. One of the things I want to add too that is it's disheartening to me because when I saw all the posts from what was it, Epic Games and Valve and God, there was another big one in there. I'm drawing a blank on, but
Steam.
yes, well, that is pretty much Valve. But
Hmm.
when I saw those posts, it was really it was upsetting because like some of these games, like there's ones I play a lot of Blizzard games. First, I admit that, but like Heroes of the Storm or some of those ones that are free to play, they would be so great on blockchain if each hero was an NFT, if each skin that was an NFT, if each mount was an NFT. It would have so much more value. It wouldn't just be like, oh, I spent 39.95 on the coin. And like the other thing to think about too is if you really love these publishers and the games that they put out, right? Like if you love Call of Duty franchise or you love whatever it is, insert those people that decide not to take the step into this world are going to be left in the dust. And I don't
Yep.
want to see that personally because I love some of these publishers. I was
Hmm.
elated. You saw me in our Telegram when we found out that Microsoft was buying Blizzard Activision. I
Hmm.
was so excited because Microsoft or Blizzard's been kind of in the quiet about what they're going to do with this whole play to earn crypto stuff. And I think it's probably because they were merging this deal or negotiating this deal, and now Microsoft is all in. They're
Yep.
about the metaverse. They're
Yep.
about the crypto space. So I was so excited that one of my favorite publishers is going to most likely be participating in the blockchain space. But there are still amazing games from Epic, amazing games from Valve that I don't want to see them go extinct because they decided to be on the wrong side of history of this. It's possible that the NFT, like it's possible that one wins and the other doesn't, but I don't see how where crypto is at and where the metaverse that we're headed to and Web3 is coming, it's all going on blockchain. So
Hmm.
it's in my opinion, it's not going to be possible for that legacy side to take the W on this. It's just not, especially with major actual publishers getting into the space. They're gonna get left in the dust. And think about with an NFT, right? Like you buy whatever it is that you can attach to that smart contract royalties that are paid to the developer. So rather than Blizzard or whoever having to charge you a subscription fee for doing X, Y, or Z, if every time there's a transaction of an NFT, those royalties can be paid to the developer. So they constantly have a
Hmm.
stream of income coming in. They don't need to charge you a subscription fee. They don't need to charge you for the next expansion because there's enough NFTs in the ecosystem that's filling their coffers. And if you look at some of these crypto gaming projects, their market cap are fucking
Billions,
astronomical,
billions.
billions.
Yep.
Like one of the things that holds back gaming companies in development is money. and it really, really holds them back. They want to execute this vision, but they can't afford the devs, they can't afford the team, they can't afford the marketing, all these things to bring it to life or to the level that they want it. So you get games that get released that are dog shit because they're trying to rush a deadline, and that deadline's a deadline because of money. It's not because they just need to release it before Christmas. It's because if they don't, they run out of money to pay their fucking employees.
Yep, and you make a good point there, and on top of that point, you also need to realize the evolution of games too, because games used to be like, all right, we have this much money to make a game, we release it, and then we make back this much money off of sales, right? And
Exactly.
then later on we make a part two or something.
Right.
Now
Or an
most games,
expansion.
right? So now most games are they just run perpetually, and then they constantly get upgraded and have expansions. Like think GTA Online, it constantly gets more and more expansions and gets better and better, and the graphics evolve just like World of Warcraft. So for something like this to happen, then you need constant streams of income coming in, and that's what NFTs will allow. As players create and buy more of these in-game assets and a royalty gets paid out to these developers, it will allow them to constantly make a good stream of income that will allow them to keep making the game better and better and
Or
better.
even if they decide to make an expansion or a number 2, if they make a misstep, their fucking their development house doesn't go under. That's
Hmm.
happened. Like, look at how Call of Duty franchise bounces back and forth between 2 developers, and everybody loves one or they hate the other. Like, if they had $1 billion market cap, they could make them both.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, and they would never be worried about the money coming in. So
Exactly.
it's you can't have a company like Blizzard. What was it? It just what was that merger? I think it was 67,
Billion or something like that. Like
something like that.
the
But
the
like,
Microsoft buyout, you
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
buyout,
Oh, yeah. It
right?
was crazy. Yeah.
So astronomical figure, right? Like one of the biggest, I think, in gaming acquisition.
Hmm.
But uh, there's play to earn games that their micro cap dwarfs that number.
Yeah.
Like it's
Fucking
so
Axie
it
Infinity, a little 2D game with little fucking like
exactly.
Tamagotchi monsters, and yeah, it makes more money than any of these game companies, and it's a simple ass game that anyone could have made. But yeah, I mean, look, and guys, the other thing too that you need to realize is right now we're extremely early on these games. So you're going to see very simplistic or basic games that are coming out,
Yeah, we
but
we didn't start with Unreal Engine 5, guys. We started with Pong.
right.
Okay? So,
And
like, keep that in mind as you're judging these projects coming out.
exactly. But with that being said, there's companies like Gala Games that I suggest that you guys go look at because they
Huge,
have
huge.
partnered with huge game developers. You got Peter, like one of my favorite game developers, Peter Molyneux, who created the Fable series, which is one of my
Yeah,
favorite game series. People
great
who've
game.
worked on Halo, Call of Duty. You have the Walking Dead creators making games with these companies, and so now you're starting to see really big game developers, the creator of The Sims,
Well,
coming in and making games and partnering with these companies, and it will transition into these really good games that are fun to play. And I've played some of these in person, and they are fun even without the play to earn mechanic, which is the important part because I would play the game even if I couldn't earn any money on it. Now the earning money on top of it or the NFT aspect is just a sprinkle on the
yeah,
top of it.
keeps the replay value going, but also think about, like, even if you go to galagames.com, they've got 7 games or 8 games in the shoot. You can't do that on a regular video game, like, publishing model. There's no fucking way. You
Hmm.
have to only work on one title until that's released, and it's like you said, to recoup the money you spent on development and research. So
Hmm.
with this though, they can launch 6 or 7 games, and their ecosystem, it's like cyclical. So like things like you get a gala power level, and like that helps you in any of their titles that you play.
Hmm.
So like this is where this can evolve to, and it's super exciting, and I really hope for people that don't like the idea of it, that you can kind of just give it a chance before you crap on it, because some of these games, like I played 2 different of the gala games, and they're super fun.
Yep.
They're great. They're really good games. I'm not playing it because I'm making money. I'm playing it because I actually get sucked into the game, and I'll literally look up and it's 2.5 hours later. I'm like, oh shit, gotta go to
And
bed.
and that's what a real game is. So we're running a little late. I'm just gonna touch on one more point because I remember this was a talking point with a friend of mine, and it was about the fact that I was explaining the concept of NFTs and how you own them, and they were unsure whether you would be able to move certain NFTs between other game companies, and there already is an example of this. So, Steve Curry dropped a pair of digital shoes that you can use in three different games, and they're separate companies. So you can use the games within your characters on the sandbox, and I suggest you look up the sandbox because it's kind of like a Minecraft meets Roblox type game that's going to be real big. Snoop Dogg's behind it, and a lot of other celebrities. And that same shoe, that NFT that you own, that you paid for once, you can also use it within a few different Gala games as well. So there is that cross transfer ability with some of these
and it
NFTs. Not
and
all of
it's
them, but there is for some of them as well.
yeah, and it's coded into the contract. So like the NFT shoes, they appear a specific way in each game. They don't all look the exact same. It's based on that game's graphic design style that's how those shoes appear. But
Yep.
it's really cool how you could buy an asset. Like think if you play Call of Duty and maybe you play, I don't know, Medal of Honor, or what are some of the other shooters that are huge, CS:GO or whatever. Think if
Mhm.
you bought an M16 rifle skin that you really loved, and you could drop it into 4 or 5 different games. You don't got to
Mhm.
go and buy another one from the new game that you're playing now. Like
Yeah.
that would
Or
be that's awesome.
yeah, you know, they always have these funny items that you could wear, like a Santa hat, you know, and that's easy to do in different games. Again, with different styles, you could do a Minecraft block style of a Santa hat. You can do a really realistic version in some Unreal Engine game, but it still is that same NFT, and then it
Right.
just works on all these different games, and that is a really cool aspect that you can't do in any other type of game, or the technology is not
And,
really there to do so. So that's
and
another thing to introduce.
I
Yeah.
would say too, it opens the door to, like, we finally just saw in the last, what, couple years, that, like, I know Sony was big about, like, no cross platform
Mm,
gaming, right? And then we finally broke down that wall and it's like, oh yeah, we're fucking done. This is very, very profitable for everybody.
yep.
Like you're gonna see more of that if you go into that NFT space and all these projects are intermingling because everybody's cashing out. Everyone, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean everybody's making money to be able to support whatever their game is that they're working on.
Yeah. So, guys, you know, I appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I do want to
Sorry,
get
I'm
your
passionate about this
feedback.
too.
Yeah, look, again, we are gamers. We've been gaming all our lives, and this is a subject that I love to talk about. So, when I heard that there was a backlash within this gaming community, then I had this. I was baffled, and that's why I wanted to really talk about this video, because I want to get your opinions in the comments, because I want to know if there's something that we're missing or that we didn't touch on, or
Yeah,
maybe
please.
that we just aren't seeing that you guys are seeing. But one thing I want to leave it on is that what crypto and what NFTs are doing is that it's for the people by the people, because there is in general a complaint about governments and corporations taking and profiting from us. And literally, what NFTs and crypto are doing is that it's giving us the power, it's giving us the ownership. And so now that we have the ownership, we don't want it and we want to complain about it. So
Yeah, well,
just realize that this is what's happening. It's a transition from the corporations, the game developers, and all that making all of the money and all of the gains, to now us having the freedom and ability to make the gains. So again, thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you, Mike, for coming on to the show, and
thank you
hopefully
guys
you
for having
guys,
me.
yeah, hopefully you guys have a lot to say in the comments. I'm gonna drop drop some links below about, you know, what NFTs are, and deeper explanation if you guys are interested, and I'll link Gala Games and a few other game studios down there below. But don't forget to give us a like and subscribe if you like the content, or give us a dislike if you didn't like it. Anyway, it helps us. So
We'll
have
smash the shit out of it.
yeah, have a good one, guys.
Thank y'all.